If you're somebody who's interested in recruitment, if you're somebody who's interested in helping your organization to improve what you're doing, if you're somebody who is part of the growth plan for your organization coming out of the COVID-19 crisis, today I'm here with Kelly John Woods, who runs Best Practice Talent. So he's my business partner in Best Practice Talent. You can find the details on Best Practice Talent right behind the bestpractice.biz website. We have moved location today, so we are in Kelly John Woods' living room this morning, social distancing with just the three of us to manage the lighting. I'm just looking at the lighting there on the camera. But yesterday we had a full-blown construction site running right next to the room we were shooting from. So today, and I apologise for those who were with us yesterday, they cut the power to our internet supply halfway through the feed. So Luke's here with us, so big shout out to Luke. Vanessa's watching the feed. We've got Nick Fagan there who's come on live to watch what's going on. So really what we wanted to do today was really introduce Best Practice Talent and talk about some of the things that Best Practice Talent does. But also we're getting a comment there, there's no sound on LinkedIn. Right, yeah. So stand by. Let us know if we've got sound now.
That's it. Morning, Stan.
Morning, Stan. Where have we got Stan? Stan's on YouTube. Hey, Claire, up in Queensland. So let us know now if you've got sound on LinkedIn, and then we can get going. It's going to take a little bit of time because there's the delay.
CJ, we'll good morning.
Good morning. So those of you listening and watching on YouTube, let us know where you're watching from, and I might just grab my device and quickly comment on.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Excellent. Okay, fantastic. We can get going. So for those of you who have come on today, I'll start again. Morning, Helen from Port Stephens. I want to welcome Kelly John Woods, who is my business partner in Next Practice Business. In Best Practice Talent. I apologise. So it's all fun and games here. Nick Fagan's over there on the feed in LinkedIn. He's my business partner in Next Practice. So what I wanted to do today was we really want to talk about the winning formula for recruitment. So if you are somebody who is part of recruitment, you're somebody who's involved with people in your organization, guiding and advising within your organization, whether you're the leader or you're part of the management team or integral part of the business and internal influencer. Today, we're going to talk about our winning formula for recruitment. We are going to talk about what Best Practice Talent is doing in the marketplace. We've got a ton of free content. We're going to tell you exactly how we run the recruitment business at Best Practice, what we're doing with psychometric testing. We are here to help you, like with all of the free content that we do. So again, I would really appreciate it if you could tag any leaders or managers in your organization in the comments, share the YouTube video with them to show them what the winning formula for recruitment is. Because now more than ever, I'm concerned in our business about hiring slowly. So slowly and conservatively doing more due diligence as we go through the recruitment process to grow out of COVID-19. Now is not the time to be sort of, placing high risk bets on people. We want to be doing a really high quality process of due diligence as we bring more people into our team. We want to be protecting culture. We want to be looking for high performance. We want to be looking at getting really great results. So hello to Joe Dixon, who's our other participant or collaborator in the talent business here at Best Practice. So Joe Dixon's just come onto the LinkedIn feed. I can see the comments. So let me know where you're watching from. Anyone who hasn't sort of commented yet, let me know where you're watching from. I really appreciate it. And it's good to know where people are coming online and seeing what's happening. So we can see the YouTube feed and we can see the YouTube comments. We've got a great dashboard today set up. I hope our feed's working and I hope it's not choppy. The only thing we can improve is our lighting. So we'll get to that. But before I get into the details, because we are going to go through the winning formula for recruitment, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the next couple of months in talent, in the talent business, and what you've been working on?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously with the COVID-19 situation or epidemic that's been going on, what we're after is we realize that lots of people are going to start searching for high quality and high caliber people to basically help their businesses grow. So at Best Practice Talent, what we decided to do was put out a big special to everyone who's out there who wants to use our services, fixed fee lump sum. So $12,000 per hire is the standard if you're not a Best Practice client already. So if you're not using Best Practice Biz in some way, whether it's Next Practice or Best Practice certification, $12K. If you are currently a Best Practice client, $9,000. So good old 25% off for that.
Yep.
fixed fee lump sum. We're not based on any percentages of packages or anything along those lines. It's straight up, here's your fixed fee lump sum. And that'll go until the end of the year. And then we'll have a look and see where we're at.
Perfect. Excellent. So that's sort of what the best practice talent business is doing in terms of fixed fee lump sum recruiting. There is an interesting billing model. This is obviously one of the things we sell. Sorry, best practice. Is that helping the lighting? So Luke is still playing with the lighting. Because he's holding up books. Yeah, lots of going on. Justin Brown, welcome aboard. So let us know where you're watching from, the foggy blue mountains. What best practice talent is doing is obviously a recruitment service. I'm going to take you this morning through the 10 steps, 10, 11, 12. There's a couple of bonus steps there, which is the winning formula for recruitment that gets implemented. Now, I want to show you and give you all of the tools that you need to implement this process. Now, if you want to be, you want to DIY yourself from a recruitment perspective, my goal with this session this morning is to give you everything that you need to be able to do a winning recruitment yourself. And I appreciate the resources are tight. You can sort of have a hybrid approach where we can assist you with that. And potentially the best practice talent team can take it all over and run it for you from a recruitment service. So the goal of today is to give you everything, all the inside secrets of everything we do in the talent business, how we're growing our own best practice business. We're sharing our success, how we've been doing things. So really this business has come about from me trying to grow the best practice business and trying to figure out over the last 16 years how we've actually been able to win the battle on finding great people. And that really common question, which is, how do you find great people? Or I can't find great people. So really back to that learning mindset we've been talking about over the last couple of months is, I can't find great people yet. I haven't figured out how to find great people yet. So being in that really learning mindset. So this video, it's obviously going to be, it's being recorded by YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube. It'll be there as a post on my LinkedIn profile. So you can come back to it. So the secret that's about to be let out of the bag is everything that I'm talking about today is being released today on bestpractice.biz/guides. It's a 15-page guide on the winning formula for recruitment that's free for you, and it's everything that I'm talking about. So it's absolutely, if your recruitment procedure or process hasn't been documented, and if you haven't figured out all the steps that you need to follow as part of that winning formula, you can get a copy of that document. We're going to email it out to everybody that registered for this event. Plus, we'll put it up on our website. We'll try and email it out as a PDF to our database so that you can pull it apart, download it, edit it, structure it, and it can be your policy and procedure for recruitment. So with everything that I'm about to cover and we're going to talk about, Woodsy will throw in some examples. When you skip one of these steps, you're going to start to erode your ability to succeed in finding great people. And the variable is there are heaps of great people out there. There are people out there that are a good cultural fit for your organization. They're a good cultural fit. There are tons of people in the marketplace, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can validate those numbers in a second. But what I want, it's very important for you to ensure that you don't miss any of these steps, because when you miss one of these steps, I guarantee that you won't get the opportunity to have the best possible people come and join your team, particularly now with the COVID-19 economic crisis, that we want to be even more conservative. So if you put the lens of due diligence, when we're going into recruitment and we're looking for candidates to come and join your business or your team or our team, we're in a due diligence phase. And we want to be conservative. We want to be very careful that we don't have our happy ears on as we go through these steps. So remembering the guide's going to come out this afternoon. What I want to quickly take you through is the 10 steps, and I'm going to get Woodsy to add in a few of his elements as we go, but they start with an executive discussion. Now, often recruitment in the past has been, hey, call a recruiter. We're going to basically say, hey, we've got a role. Let's get somebody in. We need a job done. Let's just grab somebody. And you will often grab the first available warm body and bring them into your business because they have a certain set of skills and they can just start on day one and they can do the job.
That's it. Yeah, we find that quite often, and from best practice talent perspective, the first question is why, to try and stop that knee-jerk reaction. I just need a person. I just need a person.
Exactly right. So step one is to have the executive discussion, which is really saying, what is the part of the business that we want to grow? What is the part of the business that's got a pain point? What is the part of the business that's got a weakness? What is the part of the business where we can see an opportunity where we can make an investment of money, remembering that employee, the recruit, the candidate is going to get paid money. So the business really needs to be very clear, and the executive team needs to be very clear. What are we getting in return for that money? Now, if I go to the supermarket, and there's a supermarket 1 block away here, a big supermarket, I can take my $2 and I can go and buy 2 liters of milk. So the milk, the 2 liters of milk, is more valuable to me and is required by me. It's more valuable than the $2 coin that I have, as an example. And I want you to think about that this person is going to bring more value to your business than the $1,000 plus a week that you're going to pay them. So we want to be really thinking about that, and we want to be saying, okay, well, what are the expectations? So we start with an executive discussion. You can't miss that. This is about starting to say to and communicate and consult with the team around you. We're starting to think about bringing on someone in the business. Now, this is for any person in any business, in any organization, in any role. It's got to start with a discussion. Exactly. So step 2 is to do a SWOT analysis, and I just touched on it, but looking at the organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and really asking the question, is putting a person into a role, whether it's a new role or it's replacing someone in an existing role, is that the control? Is that the way that we're going to deal with a strength, a weakness, an opportunity, or a threat?
And yeah, again, at Best Practice Talent, we have tools in our arsenal where we can easily show you that data for that SWOT analysis. So we can say, right, here it is. And it will be in the guide. We'll give you those details there. But basically you go, oh, I need to do the SWOT on the team or on this position. Here's the guide. Here's the report to do it.
Absolutely. So the next step, or step 3, if you like, if you're taking notes, and I hope everybody's taking notes, is what number requires managing in the organization. So if you look at the traditional best practice logo, which you can see up on the screen here above me, the little best practice logos, which are performance over time graphs, somewhere about here on the screen, that is a performance over time graph, and it's really about the dashboard. And again, this is about getting the mindset into the right position from an investment. So is this where we want somebody to be doing a particular task, a particular set of numbers? It's really about asking the question, what's the golden number? What's the focused number for that person? And starting to say, okay, well, what is the key result area? What we don't want to be doing is saying, we're going to have a key KPI. That's key performance indicator, is an indicator of performance. But what we want to be talking about is what's the key result area? What if we were doing a performance over time graph and we were measuring on that graph, much the same as these logos above me, these graphs above me, what is that one number that person can focus on? Because once we know that, once we start going out to the marketplace, which I'll get to, we can start to say, okay, well, are you passionate about this particular number when we're talking to our candidates?
That's right. And then it's easy for the candidate as well as the people interviewing to go, okay, tell me the story of how you're going to get to that number.
Yep.
You know, enroll with us because this is the number we want you to get. How can you enroll with us? Because we're going on this journey. Are you going to be the best team member to take us on this journey?
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Absolutely. And there are lots of candidates that we've come across over the years that really see getting into your organization as an opportunity to move to another role. And they'll be just thinking about that. So they'll come in the door and they'll literally be not looking at the right place. They're not passionate about the number and the role that you're putting in front of them. They want to get to something else. And while that's okay, if you're developing people, you are spending money next week on that person's salary or wage to get a specific number dealt with and a specific issue managed in your business. So thinking about what that number is, what's the number? So absolutely fantastic. Excellent. I see a bit of interaction there in the comments. Those of you that are commenting or anyone that's just come on, please let me know where you're watching from. So if you can jump on and let me know there. I've only got comments from about 3 or 4 people there on YouTube. So if you can get in and comment or you can hit that like button, please do that. I appreciate some of you guys don't have Gmail or Google accounts. So to get more interactive, you could go across onto LinkedIn. And Vanessa, if you're watching, if you wouldn't mind posting the link to this feed on YouTube, then we can get people across on that. You know, they can click that link and move from YouTube across to LinkedIn so you can comment without a login. So thanks very much. For anyone that, you know, you think already, you're thinking about other people in your organization that need to hear this, please tag them. Just type their name into that LinkedIn or that YouTube feed so that they get to see this video in the future, and hit that like button if I'm talking about some good stuff and you appreciate what we're covering. Okay, the next conversation that needs to happen, and remember, we haven't even advertised a role yet. We haven't even developed the position description, is the cultural discussion. And as we've been producing the guide that you guys are going to be able to access, the free documents, 15 pages, that's going to come out very shortly. Vanessa is just working right now and making it look pretty. Everything's happening in the background very quickly for you guys. Thank you, Vanessa. Is the cultural discussion. So we talk lots about values. What I've included in that guide for you is a big, long list of potential values. So if you haven't already, thank you, Vanessa, for that post. If you haven't already documented or written down or published some words that describe the values of your organization, it is important, because as you go back into the filtration process and doing your due diligence, the very first thing to consider when you're looking for candidates is cultural alignment and values alignment with your organization. The biggest mistakes in recruitment that I've made in my career is when I have hired for skills first, and I didn't worry. I'm like, I just need a body that's got these skills, that meets this criteria, that can come in and do this job. And those people have been some of the most toxic people for our team. Lovely people, fit in different groups of people with different friends, but didn't gel with the culture of our business and our team. And it's not their fault. It's my fault. It's been my fault for letting those people, like bringing those people into the team, because I'm the ultimate decision maker and saying, yes, well, you can come and join our team. Here's your invitation. I'm going to pay you some money. When in actual fact, and I take 100% responsibility for the recruitment process, that as the ultimate gatekeeper, I'm like, actually, there wasn't a cultural alignment. And that's the mistake I made. I hired somebody and I set them up for failure by bringing somebody in who didn't fit the cultural values. And behavioral change is very, very difficult. So it is something that we want to consider as part of that. So having a cultural discussion in the guide, we've listed out a bunch of values. Here at Best Practice, we've mapped it out. We are progressive, we are friendly, we are empowering. Part of this exercise is us showing the values that we have at Best Practice, which is to empower you to follow some of these great processes we talk about.
That's right. And being clear on what the culture is of your business enables you to have, again, a nice story to engage that candidate with. And if they're not engaging and coming along with that story in that interview process, then you can get a really quick gauge straight away whether they're going to be a cultural fit or not.
Absolutely. Types of questions we can ask in interviews is to really start to say, okay, rate yourself on your friendliness. Are you a typically outgoing, friendly person? Rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. If they say, I'm a sort of a 3 or a 4, they're not going to fit in our business, because we're a really bubbly, friendly, very, very outwardly looking, crazy team at Best Practice. And people who are a little bit more introverted don't really fit super well with the business at Best Practice. Empowering, do you think you're an empowering people? Do you like, an empowering person? Do you like teaching people? Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of, are you an empowering person? Are you a progressive person? Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Do you have the latest iPhone? Do you get into the technology? Do you press all the buttons? Do you figure stuff out? Are you happy using cloud-based systems? And if they say, oh no, I'm really not a computer person, then you're going to be out, because you're not going to fit with our business, because I'm constantly throwing new apps and new technology and new systems and new process, and breaking the internet with things like LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live and the crazy stuff that we're doing right now for you guys. It's got people who are technophobes. That's okay, but you're just not going to fit in our team. And so it would be very poor performance of me to actually let you come into the team, because I'm going to set you up for failure. Unless you say, no, I'm a technophobe, but I know I'm a technophobe, but I really want to grow and I really want to move, and I haven't got there yet. So you're really unpacking that fixed mindset component to get someone into a growth mindset. Okay, so the cultural discussion is a really good one. You want to map that out so you've got your values ready to go, and you've got them in, you've got the bullets loaded in the chamber for when you go into the interview process, you can start to say people and you can rate them.
And not to forget, the rest of bestpractice.biz can also help with aligning that culture piece and actually defining that culture piece. So you've got Next Practice there, Best Practice certification, of course. That also comes together to help you understand where your culture is.
Yeah. So, if you haven't done the workshop on cultural values and you want to map that stuff out, reach out to Nick Fagan, who's there in the LinkedIn feed, in the LinkedIn comments. So Nick Fagan at Next Practice. You can get to that business by going to bestpractice.biz and you can look at services, and you'll see Next Practice, and you can reach out to the team there to do that workshop, to map out, values and direction and mission and vision, map out and sort of document the worthy cause or the worthy purpose of the team. Because remember, you're bringing somebody on board to further your cause, to push the worthy cause, for the purpose of the organization. So really that's what this is about. It's about having a whole bunch of team members all shoulder to shoulder, helping the organization move forward. Okay, so at the wrap of that, we've basically sort of wrapped up the executive discussion. At executive discussion, SWOT analysis, focusing on the number, doing the cultural discussion. Really at the end of that process, you're asking the people involved in that to map out their wish list for the role. So if I was to wrap that around, start with why. We have started with why. We have put that process together. We've really mapped that out in detail and started to say, okay, fantastic. We've had those cultural discussions. Each of the people in that, and whether it's you as a sole purpose, if you did that all yourself or you did it as part of a team, everybody now needs to start to write their wish list. Now, what I'm going to talk about is we've just been doing this live for a new role at Best Practice, where over the last 24 hours, I've asked 4 people as part of a particular business development team to actually map out what their goals, wishes, and desires are of a particular new role. I said, don't look at the old job description. Don't look at the old PD. Start from scratch, fresh. And Caitlin, who assists me, she's there on the YouTube feed. If you want to reach out to Caitlin, she's my assistant, books my calendar, and you can get to me via Caitlin there on YouTube in the messages. So she has coordinated this list. We had a conversation this morning where she said, what's really interesting is that a lot of the things that people documented were on the old list. So we did step away just to take a fresh look at this, but we've come back to a very similar position with some subtle changes. So I'm going to look at that this afternoon as we can sort of move forward and say, okay, well, this is what this role looks like. And then we're going to go out to market, and I'll describe those steps shortly with that new PD. So to wrap that all up, you're writing a wish list so that you can really extract the final expectations of the executive team or of the team of people that are part of the process, to get that into a PD so that you're ready to go to market. Okay, fantastic. You guys having a listen. This is excellent interaction there on the feed. So please keep tagging people so people can have a listen to this. Okay, anything you want to add there before we move into, we're really going into the recruitment phase now?
Just around that PD bit, again, best practice talent. We have tools, one of them being PXT Select, which comes with a whole heap of pre-configured position descriptions and things like that. So if you're like freaking out and you haven't worked out, I've got the list of the wish list, but we still need some bones around a skeleton, some body around the skeleton. Yep. You need a template. We have that available. So yeah,
okay. We've been told to adjust. I'm pushing Woodsy off the screen. So okay. So Luke's telling us to move. So absolutely, it is. So the next step really is about the phase of, how are we going for time? Good for time. The next phase is really about starting to think about the go-to-market. So we're developing the PD, as Woodsy mentioned, as Kelly John Woods mentioned, so that you guys who haven't seen him yet, so you can tag him and connect. Please connect with him on LinkedIn. So send him a connection invitation. Vanessa, if you wouldn't mind posting his handle on YouTube and also in the feed, that would be fantastic. If you could grab that and drop that in, that would be excellent. So as we're starting to think about going to market, when I start talking to people, I say, I'm thinking about a role. If I break the rules and I skip these steps, I'll call someone and I'll say, look, I'm thinking about a role. I did this last week. Okay. I'm thinking about a role. This is what we're thinking about putting together. What do you think about that? They'll say, well, that's great. Send me something so I can see what the role looks like. So in terms of actually following this is where we actually take the template PD, if you like, from the system that we use, that Woodsy's got access to. So you can reach out to him and say, give me one of those templates. I just want to get some ideas for a PD. We can send that to you. No problems whatsoever. So then we want to go into this brief recruitment phase. So then thank you very much for that person that's punching that like button. Please do more of that. We want to develop that PD. We want to get that refined, and then we want to brief the person doing recruitment. Now, this is where you can break out and you can use best practice talent to do your recruitment. You can just use best practice talent for one of the steps that's coming up in terms of psych testing. We'll get to that. Yep. But if you're doing the recruitment or you're doing internal recruitment, now we have done that at best practice where we've done internal recruitment, is that you can brief the recruiter with all that information. You've got values, you've got a role, you've got expectations, you've got a number. Then you are very clear when you can go out to market and find somebody who really wants that. So part of our due diligence step now, we're now about to start looking at candidates. We're assessing for the following things. Do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have the capacity to do it? Do they have the grit to get through the dirty days, to be grateful for the work that they're doing and really enjoy it, even when it gets crazy? Because that is something that is probably the top of the list for us here at Best Practice. Is we have shitty days, like shit goes wrong and you're trying to manage that stuff. But does this person have the grit and the grind, and are they passionate about that area that they're managing so that you can get through that process? So I think that GWC thing that we picked up from the book Traction by Gino Wickman has been something that we've been implementing for about 5 years. So it's get it, want it, capacity. And even if you're looking at people in your team, you look around you right now and look at the team members that are part of your organization. If you're really struggling with someone and you're getting a bit of friction, you can start to look at them and you can say, well, do they get it? They don't actually get it. Maybe they don't want it, but sometimes they don't have the capacity, either the skills capacity, the time capacity,
time's a big one,
because they can only work a couple of days a week, or they just don't have the emotional resilience, which is the grit and the grind to get through the dirty days. Now, my team will tell you that I don't stop. It's relentless. And that's a lot of the feedback that's been given to me over the years is like, I'm a productive person. I start my day at 5 o'clock. I write a to-do list. I punch through it. Speed is really important. Like speed is absolutely super important in having a successful business that's able to pivot, that's helping people out, that's doing all the great things that we're doing. Speed. And I want you guys to have speed, because speed is where you can have success, energy, and momentum. And people say that that's absolutely relentless. Now, that is people that don't get it, or they don't want it. They're like, oh, it's exciting to be part of this amazing journey. But then when it comes down to it, like month after month after month, and I don't let off. I got my foot on the gas the whole time.
The whole time.
That's something to think about. And as you go to market, so you maybe want to comment on that. What is it like at Best Practice?
It is. It's fun to try and keep up, and you have to be resilient, But again, I was going to use the word reciprocity. It's about relating to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to build. So if you've got a leader at the top that's actually going all the time, put yourself in their shoes. Have that empathy and get along and grind with them. Don't try to keep up, but understand that they're on that journey. So that's what we do here at Best Practice. We basically go, all right, wind Kobe up and off he goes. He trails, you blaze that trail, and we try to walk along behind you. It's good.
Well, someone, that's exactly right. I do the trailblazing, but someone's got to come and clear the path, lay the concrete to build the freeway behind me. So that's, I'm taking the punches. I'm getting the branches in the face as we're bush bashing through and I'm blazing that trail. And I get that, and I've got to put a lot of energy and a lot of horsepower, because sometimes I've got to go up a really steep hill and keep trailblazing like the last couple of months.
In a Toyota, not a patrol car.
Correct.
Yeah.
So really at this stage of briefing the person who is doing the recruitment, this is where you can start to engage, you engage Best Practice talent right at the beginning of this process. So every step I've taken you through is part of that recruitment service that we offer. But if you are using a different recruitment company, we're now at the stage where the normal industry recruiter kicks in, where you brief them on the role, because you say, I need you to find me something. That's where we're going to be basing.
Adam
Dent, that's very true. If you ever run into Kobe Simmet on the street, he's flat out standing still. That's correct. So it's definitely something that if you're engaging a standard recruitment organization on a fixed fee or on a flat fee or on a percentage fee, recruitment fees obviously vary in the marketplace, where, traditional 5-star recruiter might be at 20% of the role. And that's paid on contract signing. There are different pricing models obviously starting to enter the market. This is the time you brief the recruiter. So all that information we've talked about, all of that stuff that we've consolidated, and then off we go in terms of, going to market. So really where we're at right now is go to market. In the last couple of days, we've been talking about what does that look like? Like traditionally it could be a job board, like literally the job board at the supermarket. It could be a newspaper, those traditional senses. More recently, over the last sort of 10 or 15 years, you've had websites like Seek. What are some of the more modern websites that you guys are starting to use at Best Practice Talent to advertise roles to the marketplace?
Well, the most modern and the one that we use pretty much predominantly is, funnily enough, LinkedIn.
Yep.
We use it, and hello to all the LinkedIn Live people. We use that quite a lot. It's where the market is, whilst traditionally you use the Seeks and the Monsters and those sorts of ones, that's great for just posting jobs. But we're finding LinkedIn has a lot more interaction with the actual market that's out there. There's so much data there. So yeah, that's where we do it.
So we have a subscription to a special component in LinkedIn, and a massive shout out to LinkedIn for providing that amazing product to us, which is LinkedIn Recruiter. Super expensive subscription fee for that particular piece of software, but it gives us a huge amount of value. So yes, we use LinkedIn, we'll advertise LinkedIn, or we'll do some headhunting. So that is definitely, one of the significant advantages from a best practice talent perspective is it's not about just taking someone who's available right now. Yes, there's some great talent in the market right now, and we can do our due diligence on that talent. Those people will typically apply for the roles that we might advertise. But we can also, I would highly recommend be saying, well, once you're very clear on values, once you're very clear on skills, once you're very clear on geography, once you're very clear on alignment, you can start headhunting. And it's often with headhunting that you're going to actually get a much, much better result rather than your standard recruitment organization that's just going to have a whole bunch of people on a database, And so what we can actually do is we can actually go to look much the same as like professional sport. We can actually say, well, there's a player over there on that team. They're coming off contract or they're interested in making a move or developing their career. We can actually headhunt them and bring them across. But one other thing I just want to quickly mention, which is quite interesting, is Caitlin Gunning, who is my executive assistant who helps me. I was chatting to her yesterday about it. She found out about best practice through a jobs board on Facebook. So really, it's about when you're briefing the recruiter, you're going to be asking the question, how wide are you casting the net? Now, the actual secret sauce that I really want you to be thinking about is this question. For that person that you're looking for that specific person who gets it, wants it, has capacity, has the grit, meets the values, all that kind of stuff, ask yourself the question, where do they hang out?
Absolutely.
So one of the secret sauce areas of recruitment that we've been doing at Best Practice is working very closely with universities and educational institutions who teach and train the people who want to do these jobs as a career. And so while they don't have a lot of experience necessarily, they've got the grit, they've got the grind, they've got the desire, they've got the want, and they're spending money studying in tertiary areas, in the areas that we want to recruit people. So that alignment of an educational institution. So I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to let our secret out of the bag. That's something you can buy from us if you like in terms of how we do that. But maybe if you get close to me and you send some messages, I'll let you know those secrets. But we've built some strategic alignments and strategic relationships with educational institutions because those younger people, or even in some instances mature people, are studying those specific areas that we want to hire and we want to bring people in. So then we just go into that space and we look for the cultural alignment. So we go right into the middle of the group of people and we look within the group of people for the cultural alignment. And that's something I think that gets missed. Seek has just got lots of people looking for jobs. Occasionally they're employed. Usually they're not employed. But when you can, I appreciate that comment, Adam. We want to go in with that secret sauce and we want to I go looking for where do those people hang out? Yep. Where can we go and check out all those elements? And where can we go and do that? So,
and again, that goes back to that culture piece and right at the start, the executive decision, all that sort of, where will we find this person? Rather than just go, I'm just going to throw it at the recruiter, actually say, we anticipate that this person is going to come from here.
Yeah.
So that, always helps.
Excellent. So we've briefed the recruiter. We started advertising that we have a vacancy. I think it's really important if you've got good cultural alignment in your business and culture is not something that you really have a huge need to fix, then often, there are people around your team members that are like your team members. And so it is a good idea to be asking, at least internally, is there anybody that wants to move in their career in terms of working around the organization? So I think internal advertising of a role at the same time as external. I've seen mistakes made where we're going to advertise this internally before we go external. I don't think that's the right approach because you want to create some competition and you want to create just a little bit of tension that, actually, I'm going to go for this role because I'm an internal. But if they know that it's just advertised internally, then they're going to be a little bit more complacent about getting the role. Yeah. So you want to create a little bit of tension. I could use the word anxiety. I don't want to use that, but you want to create some tension that we're going external. We're looking for the top talent who are interested in this particular role because that top talent is going to be an A player that's going to help you grow your organization.
Do you know someone? That's one of the favorite questions. Even though that person might be the person that you actually want, you always leave with, do you know someone who could fill this role? Because the right person will go, well, why not me?
That's correct.
Right, and you create that bit of FOMO, that fear of missing out that's out there, and you can actually attract those A players by asking about how you can have another A player.
Excellent. So, so we've gone to market. We're starting to get some applicants, if you like, coming in. So whether people are sending in their CVs, letting us know that they want to apply for the roles. I like to ask for a cover letter. I don't want to just get a CV sent in. I'm really thinking about, well, what is it that we really want? I want to see somebody put a bit of effort in. I want to see somebody do their due diligence on us. I want to see somebody watching our videos, reviewing our social media, starting to follow us, starting to get a sense of what's going on. And Abe Chikawi, who's just been tagged in some of the posts there, is a recent person who's just come on board. He's one of the newer team members at Best Practice. He did that due diligence because he did his own due diligence to go, well, do I like this organization? Am I interested in working there? Do I like what they're doing? Do I get a sense of their vision, their mission, their purpose? And does it align with his vision, mission, and purpose? So I like to see that someone's doing their due diligence on us first, not just applying for a vacant role. They're like, yeah, I'll go and check it out and I'll see what it's like in the interview. When you turn up for the interview, it's not really your opportunity, as an applicant to be doing your due diligence. Look at the social media, look at the videos, look at the websites, call up the organization. If you're thinking about applying for a role, make a phone call, call them and say, hey, what's it like to work there? Find somebody who's going to answer the phone, even if it's the receptionist, and say, look, I'm thinking about applying for a role. What is it like to work there? Because you need to be on show. This is the concept about being an employer of choice. So we've talked about briefing the recruiter. We've gone to market. We're starting to get some applications. What we need to be focusing on is starting with phone calls. We start with a 15 to 20-minute phone call to just do a quick verification. If we're getting hundreds of thousands of CVs, we want to start with doing that. And that is what Kelly John Woods and also Joe Dixon do at Best Practice Talent.
Correct.
That's where they kick in, basically, in terms of interfacing with candidates. For busy people like me who haven't got time, and if you're a busy person, that's where they add their value. So they can start filtering those candidates with all that information and start putting that forward.
That's exactly it. So again, it's those businesses in that growth mindset where you've got a dynamic leader or you guys are growing. We want you at Best Practice Talent to concentrate on growing your business and let us put the best people in front of you. So that's our job. We'll make those phone calls. We'll do all the CV checking. We'll do that grind. That's our job.
Yeah,
we know where to find them. We've got that empathy. We know how to do it.
Yeah. So what Best Practice Talent will typically do is run an interview before the first round of interviews. So a candidate can typically expect to have a phone call, a first round interview with the person doing the recruitment, a second interview with the team member at our business, for example, and then move on to psychometric testing. So having sort of initial meet and greet with a recruiter or the person doing the recruitment, then doing a bit of a panel interview, that would be the best practice way to approach this. So, you can think about what that looks like, but what we've mapped out in the guide is that there's phone calls, then there's first round interviews, then we move into psychometric testing. Now, this is really a place where I've achieved the most amount of success in our business because we can start to actually get some non-subjective or independent review of the person. So whether you're using an external psychologist who's doing that with a verbal interview, whether you're using a piece of software, I highly recommend that you do that for the bulk of your roles in your organization. And we've got a great product that we've got a subscription to that we use that we can share with you, that you can pay a per person fee or you can buy bulk numbers. It's all thrown into the recruitment process when you engage Best Practice Talent on the numbers that Woodsy talked about earlier. But you can go through and do that. So once you've had your phone call and you've done your first round interviews, you have to do psych testing. Yeah. And it is absolutely important. I think independently, it's only about $450 per person. Yep. And if you've got per assessment. So per person doing that assessment, I think it's important to be spending that $450 if you're not doing anything else, if you're doing the recruitment yourself, to actually do an independent evaluation of 2 or 3 candidates.
Yeah. Just so I can throw it in there. So the first bits with the phone calls and the initial interview and the reading of the resumes and all that sort of stuff, I take it back to that GWC stuff. And the G and the W, they're more about impressions, right? So you can get an impression from the person on the phone in their first interview and from their resume. The C, which is the capacity, is the data piece. And that, in my opinion, it becomes where that psychometric test actually adds that third C in regards to that data. So instead of you having an impression, you can get a third party saying, actually, here's the data for that candidate that you're looking at. So it just adds that extra C component. Clearly it doesn't measure the time bit, but it gives you a bit more stability around the data for the capacity.
Yeah, so the testing software that we use at Best Practice for all of our candidates, what it then, apart from doing a independent evaluation against the role, what is really important is it starts to then say, okay, well, this person is a percentage fit for the role, 80% fit, 50% fit, 95% fit. And we've recently had someone come on board 6 months ago at Best Practice. They were 95% fit for the particular role that they went for. They've turned out to be an absolutely fantastic incumbent, if you like, or recruit, and a great valuable asset now to the Best Practice team as we grow. So, there's plenty of people that come in at the 80% mark, the 85, 90% mark. You really want to be thinking twice about taking someone further through the process when they're less than 70%. So they are fixed roles, they are fixed job descriptions, they can be customized, but we pump people through that software. It puts them under test. It's a bit of challenge for them. And we have had people feed back to us who have like, this is really hard. People that take multiple days to do that test, they really struggle with it. They don't like it. They create friction. They've worked out, that is a good way to actually, and I'm thinking about somebody recently actually who came and went from the business where it didn't work for them, and I had to really push them to get it done. And they were like, they didn't value it. So that is something that really is a filter, because remember, we are doing our due diligence. They're doing their due diligence. We're doing our due diligence. And for me, that should have been, and maybe that was, the data stacking up in my gut about the indication that it wasn't going to work long term. So,
and to get back to that assessment tool that we use, basically it has AI built in. So if someone's finding the assessment difficult, it's because they've actually gone really fast, or they've answered the questions, and the AI has adapted and going, okay, we need to make this a little bit more difficult because it's trying to find that reasoning, numeric ability, etc.
Yeah, so it's definitely adaptive testing.
Exactly.
That's part of this. It's not just a set survey. No. There's plenty of free surveys in Excel spreadsheets. You can do some Googling, psych testing, Google spreadsheet, free. There's plenty of free stuff out there, SurveyMonkey, that sort of stuff. So if you haven't got the money to spend or invest at this point in time on this, due diligence process, there's plenty of free stuff out there. And that was my objective of this exercise. I want to show you how to do this for free, or you can choose to invest, to get that sort of upside that you're looking for.
Get to it, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Answer at the end.
Yeah, so I can see your comment there.
About the video, 30-second video before you have any engagement.
Yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to Adam. Then I'll get to your question. Any experience with tools like Disc and Myers-Briggs, etc.? Absolutely. There's people in the feed on LinkedIn who sell Disc, and I'll talk about Disc. John Schofield, thanks very much for joining us. How is it in sunny Darwin today? It definitely not at the recruitment phase. Disc is my use of that and favor for that kind of stuff is a little bit later on in the development of people. That's my view. But I'll get to that. Adam Dent, I'm going to answer your question in a second. So we've gone to market. We've done a first round of phone calls. We've booked in interviews and run the first round of interviews. We've done the psych testing. Now, the software that we use for the psych testing spits out questions to ask in a second interview to challenge people on the areas of weakness that it found, or the areas of doubt that the artificial intelligence found. So that is really, really important. And it's something that I want you to consider, is that having that independent review in terms of psych testing gives you some areas so that your happy ears can turn off and you can't hear them. So
and they're great scenario-based questions as well. So again, it's about that enrollment with the story. And so, okay, tell me a time when X happened. Okay, how did you handle this when that happened? Yeah, so they're great. They're really, really, it's not just, you need to ask them questions about this. It's how about you ask this question? They're really helpful.
Yeah, awesome. So we do our second round interviews. The next couple of steps we can move through pretty quickly. You will get a good sense in terms of the answers to the questions. You make your own judgment call, but you've done a heap of preparation. So it should be fairly clear to you in terms of who's actually making it through, who is your preference, who is the safer bet, who is the person that appears to be able to give you that upside. Now, it is okay in that second round process to do a bit more testing. If it's a task-based role that you're looking to hire, then there's no problems in asking them to do some examples. If it's a salesperson, get them to make some phone calls, get them to build a plan, get them to show you what they're going to be doing over the first 60, 90 days. So it's something to consider in terms of, well, if you want more confidence, then ask the questions. Okay, straight after that second round interview, you can ask for some references. Candidates often put forward their favorite people, and it is a bit of it's an extra step in due diligence. So what you want to be really listening for when you're doing reference checking on phone calls is really, really glowing reviews, because often a really, really glowing review is an indication of a very tight friendship, or it's an indication of a different kind of relationship with people, or it's an indication of, I wouldn't really hire that person in the future, but I want to give them the best opportunity to go work with someone else. So I'm a bit skeptical of the whole reference checking phone call thing, but recently with some roles that we've been placing candidates in, the reference checking and the phone calls really turned it around. Yep. And they were an extra piece of data as part of this process that really let that incumbent through the gate. So the gatekeeper said no, computer said no, yep. We said no, but then we've worked out how to manage that person. So what we found in the psych testing and what we found in the second interview was validated in the phone calls. And so we built a development plan for that person around those findings. So really, that's what we're starting to look at. Once we've been through the interview process, we go to references. We're really starting to ask questions about how can we best manage this person? How do we get the best performance out of this person? What are the kinds of things that we need to ensure that we do so that this person is happy and they're set up for success in the organization? So you really want to be thinking about the intention of those reference check phone calls with references. Why are you calling those people? Because you're getting to a point in the process where you're thinking about the first 5 months with this recruit, and you're thinking about how you set them up for success.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. As you say, recent situation, we were going through the hiring process and we let the data and we let this process actually influence us and change our mind, and it was at that reference check. And when we took that data and put it with the rest of the data, we were able to actually get that story, that whole picture, and go, actually, we've been influenced.
Yeah, we've absolutely been influenced. So it did turn it around. Now, I'm not going to go into detail here because this is the winning formula for recruitment, but you can form up your contracts, you can build your performance plans, your comp plans, your remuneration plans, all those kinds of things with people as part of that, that sort of final process because you're making an offer. What I want to skip straight to is the 1 week induction plan. Now, listen to my words and the order of words. It's the 1 week induction plan, not the week 1 induction plan. 1 week induction plan. Now, the recipe for success, the recipe for failure is a 30-minute induction. Here's your desk. Here's your phone. There's some stuff to read. I'll see you later on. Get to your job. That is when you're setting someone up for failure because you're not embedding the expectations of the organization in the first week. You're not giving the person the opportunity to feel their way around the organization, find their way around the organization, meet people. They are going to be overwhelmed after their first week. They're trying to figure out how to do things and what to do. And if we're thinking about and being in the mindset of a 5 to 10 year tenure in the organization, I appreciate modern turnover is more like 3 years or 2 years. But in thinking about long term, we want to be really giving the person the best opportunity to get into the team, if you like. So, and get around the team and meet the team. So I want you to build a plan. And if you need a template, let us know. But I want you to think about what that person's going to be doing and who are they going to be talking to through their first week. So it's the 1 week induction plan. That's really important to build that, implement it, have it ready for them on their first day. There's some really cool things about, starting candidates. Woodsy's all over this in terms of are they, gifts and merchandise and T-shirts and shirts and drink bottles and books and computers and phones and business cards. The more that you can have all that stuff ready on the very first day when somebody starts, the better. I appreciate sometimes this process moves really quickly and we move really quickly at best practice. It's sometimes hard to keep up. But that's definitely something that we are quite proud of. So what are the kinds of things that people get on day one at best practice?
They're new laptops, new phones, all sorts of the gifts. So if you're a gifts type of personality and anyone who knows the 5 love languages, they'll be all over that. That's another tool for you out there, a little secret tool. So we have that, what's the word I'm looking for? Grab bag of goodies ready for that new person to start. And that best practice talent, what we do is we like to help our clients, actually curate and make sure that is quite a good thing for a new starter to make sure that they feel like part of the team. We also have as part of that assessment that we were talking about before, there's coaching materials that actually get outputted from that exact same assessment that says, hey, here's the coaching report. And you can use that as well, provide that to the candidate for the first week and go, hey, so that we're all on the same page here, we understand each other. Here's one about your manager. Here's one about you. And you can actually have a good look at how you guys interrelate as well. It's always fun for the first week.
So there's 2 more steps to this process that I can go over really quickly, which is monthly check-ins and then a 5-month review. Yep. Now, at the the monthly check-in is pretty straightforward. How's someone going on their graph? Are they starting to get the number they need to manage? Are they starting to, want what's going on?
Hello, Jody Meyer.
Hello, Jody Meyer. I like your picture.
Yeah.
So, in terms of doing those monthly check-ins, it's just making sure you got regular communication. You might want to do it more frequently than that. But the 5-month review is really important. Thinking about what the employment and industrial relations legislation are talking about, it is really important, particularly here in the jurisdiction of Australia, to be making a very clear and conscious decision at the 5-month mark that it should be, no, you're going to terminate that person, unless we cannot possibly live without this person. Because the minute that you click over 6 months in Australia, the industrial relations requirements and legislation for offboarding that person if they don't work out in the future become increasingly more difficult and costly. So it is something that at the 5-month mark, you want to be really saying, actually, we made a mistake. I'm very sorry. I recruited you, but our due diligence didn't, unpack everything. We haven't set you up for success. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to let you go. So it's, I say at the 5-month mark, it's a no, or it's a fuck yes. It's an absolutely not. And so at the 5-month mark, we're typically being overly critical and overly conservative to say, no, let's try something else, and failing fast. And this is the statement that I live by: hiring is guessing and firing is knowing. So at the 5-month mark, we should know, because we should know that the person's going to work, or we know we need to fire them. And so that is really important, and it's something that I want to articulate. We've put that into the guide that we're about to produce, that's coming out. And I just want you guys to really, truly understand that. And I know different jurisdictions in different countries. I know there's people watching from all over the world, but it is something that I want you to consider is, when is that point, when is that failure point where it is hiring is guessing, we're past guessing, and firing is knowing. So
I'd like to add that best practice talent makes that a highly educated guess, so that
absolutely
it's much more likely to be fuck yes at 5 months rather than not today.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so let me get to Adam Dent's question. You guys that are commenting, I really appreciate the engagement. Now's the time for questions. We have got about 5 to 10 minutes left. We can probably do another 10 minutes because the technology is working today, and everything's going really well. And Luke's got a smile on his face, which is fantastic. So I'll get to your question too, John Schofield. So Adam's question: what are your views on videos for candidates? 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever videos as part of the recruitment process. Look, different people have different things. I haven't put it in the guide, but I will go and stalk people on social media. So the minute that it gets to a point where I'm going to actually look at the candidate because they're going to be in my ecosystem reporting to me, I'll go look at their Instagram, I'll look at their LinkedIn, I'll look at their YouTube, I'll search them, I'll Google them. So I'm going to see some of that stuff. And a lot of candidates are like, oh, I'm not going to do a video. If a recruiter's asking for a video and you're happy to do a video because you're like, yeah, whatever, which would be me, then you're going to fit with that organization because that's what they're asking for. But if you're not, that's like a filter. Like if you don't want to do the video, don't do the video. Like go look for an organization who's not that progressive, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. You've just gone back to the culture piece. And that was how I was going to answer that, Adam. It's like literally the having a chat about what that culture is and going, okay, if the culture of the business, for instance, bestpractice.biz is mainly video based, very, very high visibility in social media and all that sort of stuff, then yes, the social media and the 30-second of video is probably something that's going to be a great filter to say you're part of this culture. However, certainly at Best Practice Talent and for some of our clients, that's not part of the culture. So in that instance, we wouldn't use something like that. So it's really about picking the right tool for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I'll say to you, Adam, sort of as sort of a final point, do I think it's a good idea? Yes, I think it's a good idea. But the values at best practice is we are progressive, we are friendly, we are empowering. But I can honestly say that, you know what, you know me personally, you know I'm an extrovert. I'm okay in front of a camera, but 85 to 90% of the population are not social media posting, content creating, shooting video type people. They're not like, I'll put myself out there and do the TikTok dances. So, I think that's really important to acknowledge that people are going to feel really uncomfortable. So you want to put your candidates in a comfortable position, not in a stressed position, so that they can give you the truth. It's okay to create a bit of tension, but you just want to really consider. So yes, do I think it's a good idea? Yep. I think it's worth having a discussion about. I think it's worth maybe testing. I think A/B testing is really good. We wouldn't have found this winning formula if we hadn't been recruiting people for 16 years. The cumulative experience between Joe, Woodsy, and myself is probably something like 60 years worth of recruitment experience. So
and business experience
and running businesses
and having employees and knowing what good teams look like. And seeing all those wins and seeing all those failures. That's all the experience that we bring to best practice talent, certainly for sure.
And look, ask your candidates. If you want to start to think about implementing it, just say, hey, shoot us a couple of videos. Then you'll know whether the person can talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles like I can.
I wanted to John Schofield's question on YouTube for those of you on LinkedIn. This one's from YouTube. Basically, the question is watching out for the fake it till they make it crowd in the first 5 months. Well, if you have a clear vision of what those numbers are at the start and around the GWC stuff, John, you actually find really, really early on the people who are enrolled in that story and the ones who have tried to make you believe that that's it. So I think that the tools that we have, certainly at Best Practice and Best Practice Talent, enable us to find out those people pretty swiftly. And in most cases, they actually don't want to be there. They're not aligned with the story, so they actually self-filter and they take themselves out.
Yeah, that's okay. No problems, John. Like, you can go back and watch it. That's all good. But I think
send it to your mates.
Send it to your mates. But John, I'll just add to that. What I'm looking for on social media is just the answer to this one question. Are they A, an optimist, or B, a pessimist? So I don't want pessimistic people to come into the business. It's negative energy. People that are typically average down the tone scale. We're very, very dynamic, fast-paced, quick-moving, very customer-focused, experience-focused, customer service organization. We're a service organization. We're selling services. We're a service culture. And so we want people that are speaking services, very generous with their time, generous with their knowledge. That's the kind of business that we are. And I won't say that sometimes people come in, they don't fit that mold. But typically what we're finding nowadays is people are self-selecting out. So back to social media, the first thing I'm looking for is pessimist, optimist. I don't care if they're an absolute extrovert. I don't care if they've got crazy interests. Often people that are different are interesting, but we are looking for cultural alignment, values alignment, and obviously geography. So, you're going to unpack other things like, does the person have plans? They're coming for 6 months or 12 months and then they're going to move on. You're going to be less likely to engage those people. Look, John, people with long hair and beards like yourself are very handsome, So yes, absolutely.
I'm just jealous of the long hair.
So look, obviously appearances. We want to be, don't want to be judging a book by its cover. That's a good point there, John, you make about first appearances. I'm looking for super enthusiastic, super positive, and super passionate before I look at tats, haircut, facial hair, piercings, all those kind of things. But that's me. That I'm looking for enthusiastic as hell and an expert in their field.
Yeah, and from Best Practice Talent point of view, I'm looking for the best fit for the client. So again, we get in and we find out what that culture is and what that dynamic relationship is with the client, and then we go, okay, will that person be the best fit for that role? So that's we can't judge at all. We just make sure that we get the best fit for our client. Yeah,
and I think we're sort of at the end of our winning formula for recruitment, and we're almost out of time. But I want to point out that this is a sales process. The candidate is selling to you. if you're coordinating the recruitment, that's the context we're coming from here. So the candidate is selling to you, then also the candidate is, but you're potentially selling the organization. So we've talked about due diligence. We talked about massive information gathering. We talk about presenting the product, and then we're talking about dealing with objections. And it's no different to selling your business to your customers. You're basically starting to think about, we're pitching best practice to you, and best practice talent and best practice.biz to you guys. We're here to help, and we're here to be a service organization. But the same with this recruitment process is that's what we're looking at. So what Woodsy's talking about is just ensuring that we're looking for a good fit. And Jo Dixon is a really amazing recruiter when it comes to that. She's on the team. She's there in the LinkedIn feed, made lots of comments. She's really good at actually matching people to organizations.
Amazing.
She's good at headhunting, and she's good at going finding people and filtering people. So she'll only put people forward that are a good chance of a connection.
That's it.
And that's certainly been my experience. So Jody, Maya, I appreciate that you think we both look handsome today, and I really value that comment there on YouTube. So has anyone got any other questions? So a few people have dropped the website, so it's www.bestpractice.biz. So yes, John, I think your camera is on. So so if anyone's got any other questions, so where are we up to? That guide, Vanessa's going to have that out this afternoon. We're going to email that out to everybody.
We didn't mention PXT Selects, by the way. It's the name of the software.
Site testing.
That's it. We forgot to.
So if you want to reach out to Woodsy and find out more about the software, give it a bit of a trial run. Exactly. We can organize that for you. So do me a favor, everyone listening right now, is hit that like button so that the algorithm goes, something good's happening in that particular video. We appreciate the engagement. The recording is going to be left there on YouTube, the winning formula for recruitment. So we'll customize that heading, but it's there for you guys to come back to. I appreciate it's been an hour today with your time, and I can see there in the comments.
Much appreciated.
I appreciate everybody's time today. I hope this has been helpful. And you're welcome, Claire. No problems whatsoever. Claire, you're going to get a document this afternoon, get access to it. It'll be there on the guides tab on our website. We're going to email it out to our whole email database so that you can download it, edit it, customize it, and it can be your process for recruitment. And please do your best not to skip any steps, because that really maps out. You can add more steps in, but those are really the minimum steps to ensure that the amazing chocolate cake that you cook with your recipe comes out, and everybody loves the experience. So I haven't used that chocolate cake analogy, but that's what we're doing. We're cooking it.
I've got a box in there. I was going to bring it out, put it on the desk.
Yeah. So we've got to. We'll be in the kitchen cooking chocolate cakes soon with an amazing recipe. And no, we're not on video. We're not on drugs today.
Not today.
But this is the winning formula. This is the winning formula for recruitment. If you missed any points there, thank you very much, Emily, for that comment. I'll just quickly go through the points again. Executive discussion, team SWOT analysis, what number requires managing, culture discussion, establish and revise a new PD, like to develop the position description, write your wish list of what you want, brief the person doing the recruitment, go to market and do your advertising in the place where they hang out. First round phone calls. You're obviously going to get CVs coming in, then you do first round phone calls, you book interviews and run those first round interviews. Now, it could be 2 interviews there at that step with the recruiter and then with the team, panel interview. You're doing the psychometric testing, and Woodsy can help you with that, get access to that. Run second interviews, phone call reference checks, 1 week induction plan. So it's a 1 week induction plan, monthly check-ins, and then the 5-month review. Okay, so any other questions? That looks like about it.
That is about it. Also wanted to add that the psychometric testing is if you're currently not employed, you can actually do that for yourself to get a good feel for yourself. You can stick that data in the back of a resume to send out to potential employers. And it actually shows that you've done a bit of personal development and can actually go in there with a bit of data.
Absolutely. And I did forget to mention, and we'll cover it in another webinar, we use that same psychometric testing software on all of our staff to build their development plans. Absolutely. So Emily Parkes, who's just commented there on YouTube, has just started the performance planning sessions for the next 12 months. And reviews of the last year and the performance plan for the next year with all of our team members at Best Practice.
And Stan Wall.
And Stan Wall's done it as well. So there's a few people there in the group watching today that have done the testing on all of their staff. You can use that same piece of software to do a review, and it will produce a report to give you an independent development plan, or contribute to the building of an independent development plan to develop your people. So it is, for those of you with organizations who really want to look at how can we build our team, particularly coming out of this COVID crisis, because I know resources are tight. How do we do more with less? I would highly recommend using that software and running it across everybody in your organization. And Woodsy can do package deals for each of the people that are part of that process. So I'll talk more about that later on, but that's definitely something that I would highly recommend. We've done it. I forgot about that. We did it 6 months ago, and we use that for everybody's performance plan. So it's a report. We do a few other crazy things. We look at people's love languages, the 5 love languages. We look at the PXT assessment that we do, and then we obviously have an interview process, which Emily is embarking on, and I need to get on with it with the people that report to me as well.
Exactly.
I'm going to get some help with that. So I think that's it. Vanessa has posted some links to Woodsy's profile on LinkedIn. Thank you, everybody, for watching, who's come in through the registration process and have ended up on YouTube today. I really appreciate everybody's time. Please do me a massive favor. This only works if people know about it. This only works if people can get access to it. I know you were thinking about people in this process that really should be listening to this stuff. It's great stuff. It's great content. The favor that I ask everybody is please copy the link on YouTube and email it to as many people as you can so they watch it. On LinkedIn, please tag as many people as you can in the comments against this video on LinkedIn. Recruiters, HR managers, middle-level managers, CEOs, leaders. I would really appreciate that on LinkedIn if you could tag as many people as you can so that they can get an understanding of this winning formula for recruitment. I don't care if people cut the steps, but I know that that's the formula that has worked for us. It's part of the journey of success for Best Practice. I want your organizations to grow, improve. I want your due diligence on new candidates joining your team. I want you to protect the culture of your team. I want you to grow your team. I want you guys to do amazing stuff, because I get a huge sense of pride out of seeing organizations grow and develop and improve in the future. And I know everybody at Best Practice Talent does too.
Absolutely.
So you can go and check out bestpractice.biz. Have a look at the services. You'll see the talent tab. That'll take you to the Best Practice Talent website, and you can get heaps more information. The guide will be with you shortly. Any final words?
Basically, you're going to see a lot more content from Best Practice Talent. So it's going to be a lot more of this little head looking very Neil Whitaker-like.
Yes.
But we'll delve into what the PXT reports actually get into. We can delve into the actual services that Best Practice Talent offers. And we'll also, any questions that come through on our Facebook page or LinkedIn page or absolutely every other social media page in the world, bring them along and we can answer those for you.
Excellent. 2 more weeks, we'll be back in the studio. We're starting the office fit out next week. I'm really excited by that. And we'll be able to get technology working. We'll get lighting working. We'll have everything back into the Best Practice way of doing things. The restrictions are starting to ease. I'm really excited by that. So you might see me on the side of the road, as Adam Dent said. I'm flat out standing still. But if you don't see me out on the street and you don't see me around town, you'll definitely see me right here next time on Best Practice TV. Bye for now. Thanks, mate. There we go.